Welcome to Talk Indonesia, a great way to wake up, if I may say so myself. I'm Dalton Tanonaka. Here is this week's TI Hot List. Good news, bad news. Does Indonesia deserve its international image? Overseas degree, the good and bad of getting an education abroad. And movie madness, the intellectual and emotional importance of seeing a good film. Here beside me this week and sitting in for Sarah is the co-host of MetroTV's 8/11 program and shower singer, Marissa Anita. Welcome, Marissa. And our guest host this week, back from her first year of college, actress-singer Cinta Laura Keel. Welcome home.
Hi,
Good to see you. Hot topic number one, good news, bad news. The choices are now unlimited. With cable and satellite, your local TV station is no longer the sole source of news and information. But at a forum this week in Jakarta on the role of media, panelists from international and domestic outlets took questions on why news coverage is usually negative. One audience member said terrorism stories are bad for the country. Others said the government's assessment of Indonesia, the government's assessment, is BS. What does that stand for? Don't say it. And that it's up to the media to be the watchdog. Now, I was one of the panelists, and I called for more balanced coverage of Indonesia, the news that goes out. I mean, we always cover the breaking news, and usually it's tragedies or accidents, but I said we should also cover the people of this country, the stories that are not bad news usually.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because I mean, I've heard this before, even with my friends. Whenever I hang out with them, they say the same thing. Why do you guys always cover bad news? I, as a media person, totally agree, because we do need good coverage as well, especially internationally. I mean, I spoke to a German friend who said, and a friend who just came back from Brazil, and all they know is just, oh, Indonesia, terrorist. And it's like, no, Indonesia is not terrorist.
And that is the image, one of the negative images. And Cinta, you've just been a year abroad. What do people say to you when they hear that you're from Indonesia? What is the immediate reaction?
Okay, to be honest, most of my friends in college would say, "Where's Indonesia?" And then I'd be like,
well, that's better than bad. Maybe.
No. Surprisingly, I haven't gotten stuff like, "Oh, it's a terrorist country" or something. Usually I would say, "Do you know where Bali is?" And they would be like, "Bali, wow, you're from Bali?" And I'm like, "Yes, but Indonesia does not only consist of Bali. There's Jakarta, there's Yogyakarta, there's Palembang, and like tons of other places." And so then I try to explain to them what Indonesia has to offer, and they're just like, "Oh, I really want to visit." And I'm like, "Yeah, you should."
So they haven't even heard of the Bali bombings, the tsunami. I mean, these are global events.
Yeah, they are global events. I mean, I myself am very surprised that some of them haven't heard about it. They're very oblivious to what's going on here.
Okay, so besides those major events, I mean, stories like, which we covered this past week on Indonesia Now, is these two young disabled sisters in Bali. They were shut-ins, but then they sold Barbie clothes for dolls, and now they're making money and they're getting out. I mean, those little kind of stories to me are as valid as the coverage of an earthquake.
Especially, yes, indeed, because it's inspirational. And sometimes we do need some inspiration, especially when you just see what you see on TV is always miserable, especially in the morning. For me personally, I just hate news or presenting news about fighting between this student and that student.
You could run the same video of people in the streets throwing rocks at each other, and we wouldn't know where it was.
Exactly.
It really wouldn't matter. You know, you travel a lot in your duties. You go abroad and we're going to talk about your film duties when you go abroad. Well, are there similar images of Indonesia people get when they hear you're from Indonesia?
Well, this is the interesting thing. I just came back from Germany, and I met a German guy there who said, "You know, I love Indonesia so much. I came to Indonesia for the first time 4 years ago and completely loved it. And then the more I know about Indonesia, the more interesting it gets, because..."
So it's education about our country. So we have to do a better job as media. What does the government or media need to do, Cinta, from your perspective now, having been overseas, seeing the kind of information, if any, that flows out of this country?
I mean, first of all, they just need to take more action. I think the government here sometimes fear that certain groups in this country would complain if we promote certain things that they don't agree with.
Like what?
You know,
Music? or
yeah, music.
cultural thing?
Sometimes they think that it's music from abroad or music here is too provocative, so they can't promote it here. But I mean, no, we just need to take more action. We need to bring some people out of the country to promote Indonesia and show how beautiful this country is, not just culturally, just show the different areas of Indonesia other than Bali, because right now the perception I'm getting from others is that they only know Bali, and Bali's Indonesia, Indonesia's Bali. There's more to Indonesia
And
than
some
there's
people
Bali.
don't know that Bali's part of Indonesia.
Yeah, some people think
Now,
Bali's
this
just its
coming
own
weekend,
country.
you're going to take a step to helping reveal more information about Indonesia. You're going to be in LA for the...
I'm going to be in LA for the Congress of Indonesian Diaspora, and I will be a keynote speaker there representing the young generation of Indonesia abroad. And there will be the President of Indonesia attending the event as well, Pak SBY, and also Ibu Sri Mulyani, the Managing Director of the World Bank.
One of your role models?
Yes, and I will be presenting a speech regarding how I made it big, not just within this country, but also abroad, and like what my advice is to the younger generation that want to succeed not just within their own country, but also abroad.
So that's a good way, and I think this was the project of Ambassador Dino Patijalal,
Yes.
who organizes Congress. You heard about that, the diaspora. All the Indonesian, those who live abroad are gathering, and a way to expose our country. One last point on our image. TVRI, it's one of my sore spots. I think our national broadcasters should be a lot better.
Yes.
Other countries, BBC, NHK, they're the ones exposing the country to the world, right? BBC World, NHK. TVRI, what does it do? I'm not sure. I'm sure there are good people working there, but it should be the national broadcaster to the world as well, the window into this country, and I think they need reform. Agreed?
I agree.
You watch TVRI?
No, I don't, actually.
I know it.
I mean, it was the only game in town before, but now with all the choices, they've got to get better.
No, they have got to
should
get better.
stop.
Just one point. Because I spoke to a person who really cares about culture, and he says, okay, TVRI needs to provide the information that other TV stations
The
don't have.
documentaries.
They
the-
just
Yes.
gotta create a hook so it can attract the public.
It should be the National Geographic of this country, documenting it, but they're not.
absolutely.
Okay, Talk Indo will continue shortly. Are overseas degrees worth the time and money?